Guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 145. And even though we missed last week, we have a lot to talk about today because footy is finally back in only just a few days. So we're going to be covering stuff like Origin, the match simulations coming up, and much, much more. We're also going to be taking a look at the highest paid players in the game throughout 2025. So guys, let's not waste any more of your time. Let's roll the intro and get straight into the new episode.
Welcome to the Boundary Riders podcast, your one-stop shop for all your AFL content needs.
He looks at his options, and Jack Ginnivan says, boys, you brought me to the club to do just this!
But this guy has flog written all over him.
From attack down, Reed sprints away from Petrarca, leaves him in his wake, takes a second bounce, takes a third. The sheer arrogance of Harley Reid. Finish the job, young man!
So let's get into the footy news from the week that was.
So guys, my brother is with me today, and we both owe every single viewer an apology. So, I mean, have you written like a YouTube apology? Have you seen many YouTube apologies in your day?
Yeah, I think you've had to do a few, haven't you? Over time?
Oh, YouTube apologies? What have I done wrong? Jesus Christ, I'm in that bad. Anyway, yeah, sorry about last week, guys. My computer crapped itself, and we weren't able to do the podcast. So that was my fault. First time in a while, it's been my fault. So you know, I mean, I'm allowed a little bit of a bad day. I'm allowed to have, you know, a 10 disposal game where I don't kick a goal. I'm allowed to have those every now and then.
Just be ready for the Kane Corns comments of saying that you're unfit, that you didn't do your pre-season training, and
exactly. Well, I'm just getting ready for this. It's the pre-season jitters right now. I'm just having a couple of poor performances. I'm not going to be like the Elijah Sardises of the world and have like a blistering pre-season and then get stuck in the VFL for the rest of the season. All right. I'm going to have a cool period now with a couple of mistakes. And then when the real stuff begins, the content's going to be amazing. Anyway, so first of all, footy is only a few days away. Thank the fucking Lord. Because, yes, we had, cricket was a nice little reprieve over the summer. And, Premier League soccer for me and you is, something that helps us out a little bit throughout this tough time. But Origin is on Saturday night. So that's the first big thing to happen. I mean, do you think there's any chance that WA can win? I mean, Victoria seem pretty stacked. I will say, though, WA, I think, have a lot more of a balanced team.
Yeah, I think it's more the balanced team. They're on their home deck. We all know the Victorians never like to travel. Yeah. So...
the Collingwood... But the problem is, though, the Collingwood players that are in the Victorian team, there's also a couple in the WA team. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they travel, the Collingwood players.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, though. I think... It's just going to be interesting because obviously I think the coaches have influence of how many of their star players are going to play.
Do you think Dean Cox is really going to play Chad Warner a lot of the game? If I'm Dean, I'm like, oh, Chad, your toenail's a bit off centre. Please rest out this game.
Yeah.
And we don't need your Chad.
I think Paul's only got Butters in the game. You don't think Josh Carr's going to be like, yo, Butters... Like straight to Chris Scott. He's playing one quarter and that's the maximum. Yeah. He's not playing the whole game.
Well, I think most people are pretty understanding that this is a lot more of a, it's more of a spectacle than like it's not going to be like the old school Origin games.
No, I think that it should have been played between within the bye week of finals and the end of the season, and play the other teams that obviously don't make the finals.
I think someone did make up a good point, though, that potentially because everyone's been kind of like, a lot of people have suggested that the bye week before finals should be moved to grand final. The grand final there should be a bye between prelim final and grand final.
Yeah.
And a great idea would be to have, similar to the NFL, how they have an all-stars game, have that then. And I think that'd be a better idea.
Yeah.
I think that would make it a lot more exciting, and we have a lot of players that can actually participate.
Yeah.
And yes, a couple of players in the grand final teams won't be able to play.
But yeah,
but everyone else is going to be good.
If you're really saying that the two best teams, that there's no other good players, that you can't believe that.
And I mean, if Brisbane keep on making the grand final every year, then they're not really going to be hampering the teams because there's no one. There's not as many people
obviously, maybe one year you'd pick, Victoria v WA, then the next year you pick South Australia v Victoria, and you can just maneuver it around all for the every year if you want.
I mean, a team that I wouldn't be surprised if a team like if they did bring like an Allies team or whatever, that would be a pretty good team I think against Victoria.
Yeah.
And the most recent Origin game or All Stars game between Victoria and I think it was the All Stars in 2020. The Victorians still won.
Yeah.
So, and that was with an All Stars team against them. So with WA up against them, it's going to be tough. I think Victoria will win. Do you think that who do you think's going to win? What's your prediction?
I still think the Victoria win. I think they'll, they've got stars in every line, and when like a Jeremy Cameron can't play, they bring a Ben King. It's like,
yeah, I mean, what a tough replacement.
It's like, it's going to be interesting, but
I mean, when teams are like, for example, for WA, not to put too much disrespect on Jager O'Meara, but if he's making an All Stars team at this stage of his career, I don't really think that the WA have got a lot to pick. Have got as good to pick from in my eyes.
Yeah,
but I'd like to see WA pull it off. I think they. I mean, I don't think I think that especially with. I know it's a little bit off topic, but with them, people talking about a 20th team in the AFL, WA have been probably the most favourite to get that 20th team. After Tasmania, and I think that WA football is kind of neglected on. Like, no one really talks about WA football too much, especially when West Coast aren't about it.
Yeah,
even when Fremantle is going okay, like WA football kind of gets forgotten about for a while. So I think that if they can play really well, they can win, and get another more talk about WA football, and potentially we get to see. The first little step in maybe a 20th team going to WA, because I don't really think that anyone else could take it, and I think that there is a market for WA to grow even more.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, Fremantle will get talked about a little bit, but when West Coast are hot, that's when WA football is talked about a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
The majority of stories we hear from WA football in more recent times is, who's Harley Reid dating? Where's Harley Reid going to play?
Where's he eating? Where's he?
Yeah, exactly. Tyler Brockman just king hit someone behind the fucking servo or whatever. Or Liam Ryan got in a punch up as well. It's like, yeah, I mean, good on. I mean, West Coast, whatever. But it's like, we want to hear about the positive signs going in WA football. Like, we are in SA, so we do have a little bit more of like a bias, and we do hear a lot more about SA football. But it's a lot. I think it's talked about in a lot more positive light, I would say, in SA rather than WA.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that is a bit more disrespectful on the WA people. I don't really hear about WA very often when it comes to the AFL, as much as what we probably should. I mean, it's more than like the Queenslands and the Sydneys.
Yeah.
But I do think that like in the talk of the AFL, I feel like it's definitely Victoria, then SA, then WA. In my eyes, anyway. But, of course, with that being said, after Origin, then we get to see our favourite teams play. So, first of all, we get to the match simulation games coming up, and Hawthorn will play Geelong on Monday. So, 2 days after the Origin game, Hawthorn will play Geelong. Now, all of these games will be broadcast on KO, but if we can expect the experience that we got last year, you might as well watch it on your little TV from the 1950s, because the quality they show on KO in 2025 last year for the match simulations. Yes, I know it wasn't like Fox Footy, but the quality of it was terrible.
Yeah, it was.
So hopefully it's a bit better this time.
Yeah.
But anyway, Monday we've got Hawthorn v Geelong. Wednesday, so no game on Tuesday. Wednesday we have Brisbane up against Carlton. Thursday is Dogs up against Sydney. That is in the afternoon. Thursday night we have the Gold Coast up against St Kilda. Friday morning we have Essendon up against Richmond. Friday morning as well we have Collingwood up against GWS. Friday evening we have Melbourne up against North Melbourne. Friday afternoons / evening as well we have Port Adelaide up against the Crows. And then Saturday in the early morning, 8 a.m. for most people, we have to watch this game if we want to. Fremantle up against West Coast. So get to see a couple of games from Match Sims. I'll try to keep us covered as much as we can regarding like statistics and stuff. Maybe do a review of the match simulations as well, similar to what I did last year for people watching fantasy and stuff out there. But that is definitely the first little initial look about how teams are going to go, going into this year. I wouldn't be, especially for those games early on, like Geelong, Hawthorn, Brisbane, Carlton, probably even Dogs in Sydney, probably a majority of the match simulations. If you have a player playing in the Origin game, be a bit surprised if they're playing in that match simulation.
I don't. Besides probably the WA players and players in that Origin that play basically the next week, yeah, I wouldn't see any of them playing in any of the other games, really.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. Yeah, I mean, we've heard some good things in from like internal match simulations so far from a couple of teams. We did see, I don't know if you saw this from Sam Mitchell, but basically he's been training Connor McDonald in the midfield throughout the whole pre-season, and then came out a couple of days ago and said, yeah, he's going to play forward. Like, thanks Sam, good on you. And he's like been really into AI now. I don't know if you saw that today.
Yeah, I did.
I was like, such an old person like discovering I don't know internet savvy or stuff. It's like he had a conversation with someone and he had to type into ChatGPT how to have a conversation with them. It's like how do I let him down easy? How do I talk to this guy properly or ask the right questions? It's like, bro, aren't you human? You're supposed to be a coach and you're supposed to be like a lot like AFL coaches nowadays are like, you know, you got to be like almost a teacher to them too.
Yeah.
And he's like putting prompts into ChatGPT about whatever. I mean, look, if they win the premiership, they'll say that AI had a factor in it, but I don't really like that idea.
Yeah.
I don't really think you need AI to be helping you to coach, but anyway. And then we move to the Amy Community Series the week after. So February 25, the match, the Community Series begins. This will be on Fox Footy. So Carlton will play Geelong on Wednesday night. Thursday night, the Swans will play the Giants. Thursday evening is the Swans-Giants game. Thursday night is Brisbane up against the Gold Coast. Friday evening is Melbourne up against Richmond. Friday night is the Dogs up against Hawthorn. Saturday evening/afternoon is St Kilda against Essendon. Saturday night we have the Dockers up against Adelaide. Sunday, what would you say? Probably in the evening around 3 o'clock they have North Melbourne up against Collingwood, and then poor Collingwood, by the way, have to go down to Ballarat. Oh my god, such a struggle. And then Sunday night we have West Coast up against Port Adelaide on March the 1st, and then 3 days later the season begins. Opening night, Swans up against Carlton. So thank God it's back, dude.
Yeah, it's about time.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Fucking these players have all these days off. Like, bro, get back out there and play some football so we're entertained for a while. Like, fucking hell. Fucking Premier League teams have to play 38 games. And yes, they only play 90 minutes, but come on, bro. You can do better. Fuck me. Anyway, it's good that it's back, finally. Thank the Lord. Who are you, like, what team are you kind of looking at this? I mean, I know pre-season you take a little bit with a grain of salt, but is there a team that you're kind of looking at? You want to see how they go in pre-season, the first couple of games?
Yeah, besides obviously my team at Port Adelaide, I want to see the evolution of Freo, the powerhouse of defense that they have. They've struggled for years under Longmuir is their attacking game, and I want to see if they can actually turn it on, because they can defend anything. They've got one of the best defenses in the game, and Freo just have struggled always on their offense, and also probably the Bulldogs, because basically vice versa. Their defense has been horrible.
180.
It's 180. It's what, you know, so they've got to show something, and you know, if they don't do it this year, Beveridge is gone.
Well, I will be interested to see how the Dogs go, especially early on and in these match simulations, because looking at their depth, it kind of goes pretty thin pretty quick. Like, they have a lot of really good players, but then their depth goes down really quickly. Like, James Harms obviously announced his retirement. He was probably in their best 23. Now, yes, he probably wasn't going to be playing early, but him out. They've got a couple of injuries as well.
Yeah.
If they have a big injury to a Darcy or
a Bon again,
God forbid Bontempelli, they could be struggling, early parts of the year.
Yeah.
And the thing was, something that was probably forgotten about for a lot of the Dogs early in the season was they actually performed quite well despite all their injuries. They had a lot last year. They had a lot of pretty, stand-up performances. They beat Carlton with a VFL grade side in round 3, I think it was. Had a couple of good performances, and then basically towards the end of the year, even though people thought they were going to, we all thought they were going to make finals, they kind of dropped off. They dropped those games they needed to win, and then they missed the finals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Dogs are going to be an interesting team. I'm probably looking more down the bottom of the table. I'm looking like Richmond, West Coast. I kind of want to see how they're going to line up, because there's been a lot of good chatter around the West Coast Eagles in this pre-season, but I do remember last year there was a lot of that good chatter as well.
And they ended up winning one game. So
I want to see how they go. I want to see how Harley Reid is going. Richmond as well. Sam Lawler's had a very good pre-season so far. I mean, obviously I want to see how the Swans go as well. But they're probably the teams I want to kind of look at early on. Teams like the big, Geelongs, Brisbane's, Collingwoods, you take their results with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's what because they're looking at the big picture. They're not going to play their best team. They're not going to play, they're looking at bloody like just just winning the games during the season. They're not caring about match sims and
they don't
shit.
care about round. The first couple of rounds of the year, they're just trying to sort things out. They've obviously had a delayed start to the preseason, so a lot of those teams can have a slow start.
So a lot of those teams, they'll be basically thinking like, all right, they're going to play their 5-minute drills if they're down by a goal or up by a goal. They're going to play those sort of games during these match sims and stuff like that. So they're going to play a different game to what say a West Coast and Richmond are going to play, and like the teams I spoke about, you're going to have to hope they're going to show some different system.
Yeah,
they've got to, because either or for both the teams I mentioned, it's their one thing that's hampered them for years.
Yeah. So, I'm really excited the footy's back. Not too long now. Hopefully next week we can talk about some Origin, and it'll probably come back to Tuesday episodes, hopefully. So maybe we'll miss a bit of the pre-season games, those match sims. I'll get a couple. We'll get that Hawthorn game out of the way. But that's probably about it there. So, really excited the footy's back. Thank the Lord. But let's talk about some interesting news that released over the week regarding the highest paid players in the game and the price rise, basically, of players this year. Because, basically, players we saw that 25 players were paid over $1 million in 2024. That jumped to 58 players. So over double. Got paid over $1 million last year. Looking at the evolution of player contracts, just basically in the last even 2 to 3 years. Looking at players that were paid between 0 and 200k in 2023. Looking at 2020 or 2021, 151 players. Now, last year was 107. So, not many players are paid within that very low. That's the lowest bracket in the AFL, obviously. And then you go down the list. In 2021, there was only 13 players over $1 million and only 3 players between 1.2 and 1.4. Now, in 2025, we had 17 players paid in that bracket. We had 44 between 800k to 1 million, and we had 2 players at $1.6 million. So the price of players, this was obviously a lot to do with the media bargaining agreement, I believe. Players getting paid a lot more, and these contracts are just going to continue to go higher. Caleb Sarong recently signed a contract to get him to an extension to give him to 2034, which I think is the longest. He'll be the longest serving player contract now. Hayden Young, I think, is 2033, so he's not too far away. So 2 Fremantle players locked in for basically life now. Connor Rosie's pretty high up there in a contract. So, players are getting paid even more money. And, some people can say, they're only playing football, like, they don't deserve it. But in the grand scheme of, sports and codes, they're probably getting paid. You think obviously soccer's a bit different because it is a world sport compared to AFL. But, 1.6 is some of these players are getting paid.
Yeah.
Top. It's probably around deserved, I would say. But what may annoy some people, especially St Kilda fans, is some of the highest paid players in the AFL right now. So, according to Zero Hanger, they have actually given us the top paid players in the game right now. So, number 1, equal top is Josh Kelly and Tom Lynch, $1.6 million last year. Josh Kelly didn't play a whole lot of football last year, had a couple of injuries, played okay, but, definitely not that $1.6 million worth. Tom Lynch, sitting in the bloody tribunal more than the MCG. So no wonder he didn't leave the year before.
Of course not.
People were talking about maybe he'd want to go to Collingwood or something. It's like, bro, you're getting paid $1.6 million to sit in the tribunal every couple of weeks. I'm sitting there taking that too.
Oh yeah,
no wonder everybody just sits there and decks people every 3 weeks. Fucking, why would you want to be out there in the Richmond team?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. But this is what probably annoy a lot of St Kilda fans out there. Max King comes in as the 3rd highest paid player with $1.4 million. Sat in the injury ward for the entire season last year, got paid the highest.
Yeah.
Nasai's sitting. No wonder he waited that long. He's like, bro, your highest paid player is sitting on the injury list all season. I want fucking $1.6 million. Oh, sorry, I think he's at $2 million.
I think he's close to 2 mil. Yeah.
He's close to $2 million.
Yeah.
No wonder he fucking made him fucking sit there and fucking wait. And he's going to be sitting there for longer now, it looks like, with another injury concern, Max King. Now, Mark Sponsorpelli was on 1.4 last year, and I'm assuming it probably went higher because he re-signed last year as well. So he's probably right up there. Clayton Oliver at 1.4 million at Melbourne. They cleared that off their list last trade period, along with Christian Petrarca at 1.4. So Melbourne did clear off a lot of space, and that's probably a big reason why Cozzy Pickett stayed at the Demons, because of all the money that probably he's been pushed to. There's probably been pushed off their list. I'm assuming that Melbourne are paying a little bit of Oliver's and Petrarca, maybe not Petrarca's, but definitely Oliver's contract.
I think so.
Yeah, so those are the highest paid players in the game from 2025, and gonna be honest, like a lot of them there didn't really have the best seasons last year.
Well, we've known about like Clayton Oliver's troubles, but if you look at that list, and Max King's as well troubles, a lot of them were injured. Besides Bontempelli earlier in the year, last year he played most of the year, and Petrarca. They were the only ones that were consistently playing for their clubs.
Yeah, Petrarca didn't really have a great year. I mean, he had an okay sort of season, but from what we know, Petrarca can contribute every week.
Yeah.
Didn't have that good a season. Like, Bontempelli did have a very good year when he was back in the team. Like, he, there was a chance that he could have potentially, rolled the Brownlow if, Matt Rao didn't get, 3 votes for getting a 20 disposal, 3 tackle game. Obviously. But, I mean, Matt Rao deserved it, all right? I love Matt Rao. Love the goat himself. Eats grass every fucking 3 weeks. But, Marcus Bontempelli had a very good season when he returned. Yeah. And he deserved that sort of money. But it does show, a little bit of a precedent that the AFL is very much built on not so much potential, but yes, potential, but also if you're a tall player who could be that player, be the man, the guy, you can get paid a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
We think about Nasai, what he did in that last game, those game against Melbourne. Josh Kelly's had a very good career. Is he 1.6 though? When you sit there now and look at it, he's never really.
Yeah,
he is a very good player.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of it was when North Melbourne were coming hard for him a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
but when the highest paid player in the game, I don't know if he's worth that.
No, I don't think he is. I think that with the go home factor and all that was involved. Being at a new established club and the Giants, there's all those factors that probably have. That is why he got such a high sum. Yeah,
but I mean, he's probably not the best, and Tom Lynch obviously in his day was the best, and the reason why his contract is so high is because it was very much heavily
back.
It was on the back end.
Yeah,
he's higher paid. That's why he was there. I mean, he got a premiership out of it, 2 premierships maybe. Was it 2019, 2020, or was it just in 2020? I can't remember.
I think it was 19 and 20.
Yeah, so I mean, he got 2 premierships. He got them there. He was a very good player. So he's definitely given that value.
Now he's
sitting in the tribunal.
Yeah, now he's banking the actual money now.
Yeah. He's getting paid so much, so he can just chuck it to the AFL every 3 weeks for the fucking match review. But yeah, you look at that. Bontempelli, he's probably going to be up there now. I mean, if we talk about Nasai potentially getting $2 million. Tom De Koning as well, he's going to be up there. Tom De Koning does not deserve to be in the top 5 best played players in the game.
No,
but he's going to be up there.
But he will be, and that's based on potential.
Yeah,
it's not based on how many great games he's played last season.
But I mean, you look at that as well, and you're Melbourne's best players last year, or best player, Max Gawn, not on that list. He'd be
oh yeah,
I understand. He has been such a clubman for so many years. I think every single person in the in Australia who knows what the name Max Gawn respects how much he's done for Melbourne.
Yeah,
but he's not even there. You would think he would be paid 1 point. He deserves more money than anyone on that list. I'm sorry, but the way that he's had to fucking basically be the coach, the media guy, the captain for so many years for Melbourne. He deserves to be up there, paid more than Oliver and Petrarca were. And obviously Petrarca, he's a match winner. Oliver, when he was at his best, was deserving of a very good salary. But Gawn deserves more than fucking Max.
Well, and Tom De Koning, to be honest, as a ruckman in his position. So you look at that and you think, what he's won his 7 to 8 All Australian jackets, and some guy who's basically played on potential, he's getting that sort of a pay.
Yeah,
it's
now obviously Max Gawn's in his early to mid 30s now, so he just got unlucky with timing really. I mean, Max Gawn was the player now. He'd be already up there with that amount of money, but it does kind of show the Tom De even if you look at younger ruckman, but do you really think that Tom De Koning is the guy who deserves to be paid as the highest paid ruckman in the game? Around this age. I guess you kind of look at other ruckmen around the competition and you think maybe he's like one of the better ones at the age bracket that he's in, but I haven't seen the Tom De Koning game where I'm thinking, yeah, this guy's going to be the best ruckman in the game in the year.
Yeah.
I just still don't see it. Like, yes, he has the athleticism, but even if I compared him to a Luke Jackson, I'd be picking Jackson every day of the week.
Oh, I would be too. But also, it might seem, with all these new rule changes that are coming in, it could change his game. It could maybe make him elevate to be that sort of a ruckman.
Yeah, potentially. But again, it's potential.
Yeah, but again,
I mean, you look at St Kilda. Like, I would pay Rowan Marshall more money than Tom De Koning at the moment.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, the amount of money that they get paid is what the AFL, these clubs think they are worth. So it's not our decision, but I mean, if I had to pick like the top 5 paid players in the game, Nick Dacos would be up there for me. If I'm looking at like the top paid ruckman in the game, I'd probably be saying like a Luke Jackson. I think he would probably be up there as like the most valuable ruckman in the game. Comparing on age, ability. I think he would be.
Because you're not looking at the plus 30-year-olds. Like,
exactly.
Let's be honest. You're looking at the prime of 23 to 27, 28 really bracket.
Exactly. I'm probably looking at, like, as a defender. I mean, there's a lot of options. I'm thinking like a Sam Taylor,
a Wilkie,
even though I think he's a bit older now, but even a Cal Wilkie. I mean, even though he's very young, it will take some time. Alex Taru, I think, someone that wouldn't be too surprised if someone throws a lot of cash at him in the next couple of years. I'm very surprised as well, like a Lee Kalia. Like, we saw how much that St Kilda were willing to offer him before they pulled the rug out. I'm very surprised that no other club like really seriously looked at him.
Yeah.
So that could be another player as well. And then you look at like key forwards, and then you look at the key forwards on that list there. You've got Lynch, Max King, and you're like, how the fuck is Max King on that list? Like, has he even had a season where he kicked 50 goals? I don't even think he has.
I don't think he
has.
I
I
think he's been injured too often.
His brother's probably sitting there like, why the fuck is this cunt getting paid so much?
Yeah.
I'm kicking 50 plus goals for the Gold Coast, bro. And he's probably thinking about this year about how much he's going to get paid if he wants to go back to Victoria or stay at the Gold Coast. Like, like you're going to look and you're going to be like, I literally have a twin brother here. That's our starting point of how much money I would be paid at a minimum.
Yeah, that's what I would be looking at. I'm like, my brother's not even playing at the top level.
Exactly.
In the last 2 years.
I kicked 60 plus goals last year, bro.
Yeah, 71 he kicked.
71 goals. There you go. I was like, I'd be fucking staying at that point at 1.4. It's probably gone up to 1.5. Like, I think it goes increase in payments every year. So it's probably gone up to 1.5 now. I'm sitting there, Ben King, with a manager and saying, Max King's getting paid 1.5 to sit on the injury list. Like, no disrespect to his brother, but like, if I was his brother too, I'd be like, yeah, fucking go. Use me as an example. Like, and then just fucking go from there.
Yeah, because the amount of Victorian clubs that are going to look at him is every single fucking one of them.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm North Melbourne, I'd chuck all my money at him. I really would. He's your vocal point.
Yeah.
He'll be your vocal point. You can have Nick Larkey next year. I think that's a good duo. Yeah. I really do.
From North Melbourne to, Essendon to... I don't think there's any... Maybe the Western Bulldogs were the only club that, like, would not really look at him.
Yeah. Like, you look at even, like, Collingwood, their members getting up there. You got Jack Buller in this year. There's your another vocal point. Yeah. You look at Melbourne...
Maybe Hawthorn as well, maybe. But, yeah.
Yeah, Hawthorn...
Pretty much every single Victorian club could use a Ben King.
Oh, 100%. So, you just put him one out in the square. That he roams 0 for 30 meters out. Like,
he's pretty much the 1990s, 1980s like key forward of like this sort of era of football now.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't leave the 30-meter arc. That's where he's most dominant. Anyway, so that's pretty much all the players. Like, every single player should be fucking taking their cash out. They're only playing football, bro. They shouldn't be paid that much. Fucking boomer. Well, not who cares. But it's like, what an issue. Fucking angry out. Anyway, before we move to the world sport, I want to cover one more thing, which is regarding a little bit of AFL fantasy chat and some more on the younger player side of things, looking at players who had a really good off last year based on AFL fantasy points, very good draft year points, or maybe seniors, like state league level, and then looking at some players that potentially could be ready to go round one. So thanks to the Keeper League, I'm sure you guys may have seen him on Instagram, TikTok, or anything like that. Has a lot of great content. Not so like a lot of his stuff is to do with like his AFL fantasy stuff, or his keeper league stuff, but you can definitely correlate that to AFL Fantasy. So he put this graph together regarding the top 10 draftee VFL averages from last year. We had Kai Fincher, who went to St Kilda from Sandringham. He averaged the highest out of any player got drafted last year at 93. We had Lockie Dovertston, who played for Box Hill, now at North Melbourne. He got 85. Lockie Carmichael, who played for the Swans Reserves, of course. He played for the Swans Academy. Didn't get picked up by the Swans, so the Dogs picked him up. He was third on the list. Willem Dersma, when he played in the VFL before he got drafted, he got 80. Daniel Annabelle, of course, got picked up as the Academy player to Brisbane. He averaged 78. Sam Grill played a few games for Richmond's Reserves. Obviously picked up by the Tigers in the end. He averaged 73. Zeke Euland, in a couple of games in the VFL side last year, averaged 68. Cooper Duff-Tytler, a couple of games for Essendon's Reserves last year, he averaged 67. Dylan Patterson averaged 59 in the Gold Coast Reserves, and another one as well was Bo Adensol, was another Gold Coast Academy player. He averaged 55. So a couple of players you can really look at there. In terms of players that are going to debut early, I don't think a lot of them on that list will debut too early. But there are a couple. So you've got the likes of Harry Dean as well. He will debut opening round for Blues.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Definitely.
With a key back, surely.
Yeah, I mean, they need it. Well, do you think they'd go with a bit of experience because Charlie Curno's there, maybe with Mitch McGovern, or do you think they go with Harry Dean? I mean, obviously Dane Wheater takes the job, but...
I think you got to go... you need to go youth for Carlton. McGovern's had their go. I think you're going to bring in Nick Newman anyway. I think you bring in Harry Dean.
Yeah,
and just see what happens. Match Sims will definitely show us basically who they're going to go with, but I think that Carlton will go with Harry Dean first.
Yeah, and you got a couple of Essendon guys here in Sullivan Roby and Dyson Sharp. I think Sullivan's had a bit of issue with injury in this pre-season, but if he is fit, he will play round one. Dyson Sharp, I think, is almost a lock at this point.
I think based on what all the recruiters were saying and during the draft and that, he's ready-made. Yeah, really, it's just the fact is that his tank's been the problem with it, but Essendon just needs some big bodies, and that's what he is.
Yeah. You got Zeke Euland, of course, for the Gold Coast. I think he debuts pretty early on for the Suns.
I think what I've seen over the years is that the Gold Coast Academy players, they will put him in early, and then they decide later on if they're going to go back to VFL level for a bit. But yeah, I think he will get a shot early.
You got the two Demons recruits in Xavier Taylor and Latrell Pickett, of course, the cousin of Cozzy Pickett. I think that both of these will probably get a go. I think Xavier Taylor, with what's going on with Stephen May right now, potentially in court, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not playing.
No.
I think he gets to go down in defence. And Latrell Pickett, I think that he's had some good signs in pre-season.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Pickett may take a bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does debut early. Yeah. But yeah, I think both of them should.
Lockie Dovertston for North Melbourne, of course, the guy who was pretty jovial, let's say, after getting picked up and made a couple of good jokes out in the draft night. Hopefully he plays some early games for North. Sam Cumming, as well as Sam Grill, I think could get early debuts for Richmond. Kai Fincher, who I did mention from VFL level, could very well get an early debut, according to the AFL, saying, this is from Gettable, saying that he can get an early debut for St Kilda. Willem Dersma, pretty obvious. He'll play.
He'll play wherever they want him, basically, if he's fit. They'll play round one.
And finally is Lockie Carmichael, who was the Swans Academy player that I mentioned earlier. So
yeah, I don't know. It'll just depend on. He won't be first choice debut, I don't think, for the Bulldogs. I don't think he will be. I think he'll. If there's injuries in their team, he'll squeeze in. But I think out of that whole list, he's the one that maybe won't.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the draft fantasy stats, this is from AFL Fantasy Masters over on Instagram. This is the averages from the draft. So I think this is from their draft year carnival sort of statistics. It does say that Lockie Carmichael averaged 109 through the draft year this year. He was the highest out of any draftee. I think it's Angus Schubert got 108. Willem Dersma got 106. Then we have Nunn with 103. Murray with 101. Duff-Tytler with 99. Farrow, who's someone I think could actually debut pretty early for Essendon as well. Lethal left foot halfback. He'll get early games, I think, for Essendon. He averaged 98. Swede is an interesting one. He was picked up by Fremantle, and all signs so far kind of show me that he's similar to a breed of like a Sire Dudley of like a small forward, but also has that like, you know, sort of good skills like Murphy Reid. So he could get some early games for Fremantle. He averaged 97. Sullivan Roby averaged 89, Cumming with 86, Doverton with 82. By the way, with Doverton, he may well get some early games, but I wouldn't expect on AFL Fantasy-wise to score much because he's more of a small forward, but still someone you pick up, and he probably will get games. He'll definitely get points and go up in price a bit. Sam Grill averaged 80, Barker was 76, Lindsay, who picked up by West Coast, got averaged 75, and Dan Annable was 75 as well. So a couple of draftees you guys can look at, AFL Fantasy-wise to watch, and, you know, if you're watching your teams, probably early debutants going into the early parts of the year. But guys, let's move from that. That's pretty much all the footy stuff we have for this episode. So we'll move to a bit of world sport, and we'll talk about, well, first of all, I think it's last week or the week before, was it Carlos Alvarez? He won the
Australian Open.
Not Alvarez, Alcatraz. Oh, who cares? Someone won the Australian Open. I remember talking about it last week. Alcaraz. Anyway, he won it over Josh Sinner, even though you said it was going to be the American who got knocked out in the qualifier.
Yeah, well, it was funny. I called it out, and then he played that night, and he got smashed in 3 sets. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then, what was it, Novak as well? He knocked out Sinner, and then, you know, he could have gone again, but didn't. I feel like the fact that he's still going, you know, when Roger Federer's gone, Nadal's gone, you know, got to give him credit, even though, you know, I was never really a big fan of Novak. I was more Roger Federer. But anyway, move to a bit of soccer from that. So, over the weekend, Premier League had some big results, but then today, obviously Wednesday morning, some other big results as well. So, we'll move back from last weekend. So, going right back here to Saturday, we had Arsenal beating Sunderland 3-0. Bournemouth in a 1-1 draw against Aston Villa. United winning 2-0 against Tottenham Hotspur, which got them 4 wins in a row. We'll get to their 5th result in a moment, because that's what's big for the guy on Instagram or TikTok. I'm sure you guys have seen him. His name, the United Strand, of course, hasn't cut his hair in, I think it's over 500 days now. He wanted to, he basically made the challenge that he's got to cut his, when Manchester United win 5 games in a row, he'll cut his hair. So 4 games in a row they did win after their win 2-0 against Tottenham. To other results though, West Ham continuing to fight the fight, getting out of the relegation zone with a 2-0 win over Burnley. Everton with a last gasp effort to beat Fulham 2-1. Chelsea won 3-1 against Wolverhampton. Brentford with a come from behind win against Newcastle 3-2. Crystal Palace finally back on the winners list with a 1-0 win over Brighton. Liverpool absolutely choking after taking the lead over Manchester City to lose 2-1 and then give themselves a red card from Szoboszlai. Even though I think it was a bit harsh, but I mean, I kind of get why they did it. But anyway. But then moving to today's results. So, Chelsea, after leading 2-0 against Leeds United, absolutely shot themselves in the foot to, you know, drop up 2 points and finishing with a draw 2-2.
Yeah.
Absolute fuck around. Well done, Chelsea.
Did you see that goal that they got? That was the second goal that Leeds got. How the defensive area she did. Like, what was that?
They were fucking around like it was Sunday League, just chipping it around. Like, just get it back to the keeper so Sanchez can get it out of there. No, they just sit there. First of all, the ball flies in. The defender, you know, throws his foot at it, doesn't touch it, so it bounces, gives him a nice little time to just steady the ball on the ground. Rolls towards the 6-yard box in front of the keeper. The defender and the keeper just look at each other, basically look at the ball, and then realize, well, maybe one of us should try and, you know, take possession of that. And then the Leeds forward. By the way, without Calvert-Lewin, they get a goal. Fucking hell. Anyway, I was sitting there this morning at work, seeing the notifications come up on my phone before I started. They get 2 goals, Chelsea. I'm like, okay, nice, cruisy win. Then I you know, look at it again about 20 minutes into the second half, and they've got 2 goals leads. I'm like, fucking, of course. Anyway, Bournemouth with a 2-1 win over Everton, which is very nice to see from them. Got a bit of form back in the last few weeks. We also have Newcastle winning 2-1 over Tottenham. Bro, getting rid of Ange was their biggest mistake.
Well, now they're in the relegation fight, and
can you believe that?
they haven't won a game in the Premier League in 11 matches.
Oh, they're fucking out. They're so out of form. But of course, then we get to the final result of the day. West Ham and Manchester United, and unfortunately for that one United fan, or fortunately depending on his content, because I mean I don't think he has much of a content going on. West Ham were able to get a draw, 1-1.
Well, it was funny because obviously, so West Ham scored the first, then Casemiro scored at the 63rd minute mark, but was ruled offside, and then they got the equaliser in the 86th minute. United, so you know, he was close. He was close.
But I mean, I think he's secretly he was a little bit like.
Yeah, I really think he was. Yeah.
I mean, of course. I mean, it was good content. I mean, it's good content for him anyway. And I mean, they didn't lose, so they still got a point out of it, I guess. But we move now to the Premier League table. Now there are still a few games to come, of course. Today, when you guys are watching this on Thursday, a couple of teams still have games in hand, but nonetheless, Arsenal still lead the league on 56 points, 6 points over City, who are in 50 points in second. Aston Villa, basically, these are the three teams still fighting it out for the Premier League title right now. They're on 47. They have to keep on winning, though, Villa, to keep themselves any chance. Manchester United have jumped into sit in fourth spot with 45 points. So they're in a Champions League spot right now. Chelsea are in fifth with 44 points. Liverpool are on 39 points in sixth. Brentford, after their win last week, jumped to 39 points. Everton are on 37 in 8th. Bournemouth 37 as well in 9th. Newcastle are in 10th. And then we move down to the second half of the table. Sunderland have dropped down a little bit. They've dropped into 11th spot, but they still have that game in hand along with Fulham in 12th. Crystal Palace needed that win just to give themselves a little bit of confidence. They are in 13th. Brighton in 14th. Leeds United with that draw move into 15th. Tottenham dropped down into 16th position. They are 5 points away from relegation.
It's about
5 points.
It's about the same position they were in last season when Ange was still there.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Nottingham Forest are in 17th. West Ham are in 18th. In the relegation zone, but are in much better form. Burnley are in 19th. They're probably gone. And Wolverhampton are rock bottom of the ladder. Now, right now, I think Leeds are probably safe. They are 6 points away. So they still are in a bit of trouble. But I think they're probably safe.
I think Ellen Road's just... it's just going to... Their home form should be enough to keep them there. I think teams don't like travelling there.
Yeah, I think they should be fine. And like Calvert-Lewin wasn't in the team against Chelsea, and they still were able to salvage a point. So I think they do have some fight, which is good to see from them. Tottenham, look, I feel like we can't say they're going to get relegated. There's no way in hell. But Nottingham, they're the team I feel like are going to drop now.
I told you that.
West Ham are still, they're 2 points away from Nottingham, so it's close.
I told you Nottingham were going down.
I mean, we're going to think about we're still going to think about Tottenham here at the moment. They are currently the second worst formed team in the competition. The only team that's worse is Wolverhampton, and even then, Wolverhampton have looked a bit better in the last few weeks. So, both Nottingham Forest and West Ham are both in the top 10 in terms of form in the last 5 weeks. So they're both hitting some decent form. Now, I don't know if you heard this news, but apparently that Sean Dyche, of course, the coach who took over from Ange at Nottingham Forest, is the current manager. Apparently, in their next game, I think it's in their next game or the game after against Wolverhampton, if they lose, Sean Dyche will be losing his job.
Well, I think they would.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they've already fired Ange. Sean Dyche is like basically the Premier League, revival pack. If anyone needs to save someone from relegation, they call up Sean Dyche. He sits there in a cryogenic chamber, waiting for someone to call up and say, "We're in a relegation battle. You want to join us?" And he's like, "Yeah, cool. On his way." He literally does not do any other job. Literally at the end of the season, I don't know how he fucking keeps a job after that. He just manages every single team that is in a relegation battle.
Well, maybe he should go to Tottenham.
Yeah, maybe he should, because I mean, at this point, who knows what's going to happen? Like, they're sitting 5 points away, and Nottingham Forest have a game in hand. Like, if Nottingham Forest, they've got, I think it is Wolverhampton. It is. So they play Wolverhampton today or tomorrow. So they win that. They won't jump Tottenham, but they will be equal on points with. That's absolutely crazy for a team like Tottenham. It's like, even though the Big Six kind of diminished, that sort of term's kind of diminished in recent years. They were one of the Big Six in the Premier League. And the last 2 seasons, they've dropped down and they finished 17th last year in the Premier League. They were never really a chance of getting relegated, really.
No, they had enough.
They were lucky that the other 3 were so fucking poor that they were able to survive. But this year, there's actually a relegation battle at hand.
Yeah.
And they're close. They want to be careful. Like Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, I think, are the ones to go down now. West Ham, I think, have enough to be able to find salvage points.
Yeah. I think there's not much left. Yeah, I think what West Ham did in the transfer window was enough to get them out of it.
Yeah,
I think
lucky that a couple of players like Jared Bowen's got the quality that he has, and then Somerville's had a very good campaign in the last, basically since New Year. Somerville, I think, kicked 5 goals in a row, 5 Premier League goals in 5 games or something in Premier League level. So that will help if they can find goals. But I think they'll find enough. It's going to be up to I think it is going to be Nottingham Forest to go down.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like I mentioned, both Nottingham Forest and West Ham are in better form than Tottenham right now. There is a serious problem. What happens if they do go down? Let's just play a scenario. They play in one of the biggest stadiums in England. They play in London Stadium, where England play that most of their games, other than when at Wembley. What's going to happen? Like, they've got so many big players on their team.
It'll be interesting.
Surely
and I can just imagine like all the betting sites, Championship winning it, anybody but Tottenham, because everyone will know Tottenham will win the whole thing in that league. Like they're not stupid. They'll go back up straight away. But
the thing is, they're still they got through to the top 8 in the Champions League as well. Imagine obviously that's not going to happen, but if they were to win the Champions League, but then get relegated. They'd be playing the Champions League next season from the Championship. That would be one of the most craziest things to happen. That would be crazy. Anyway.
Well, they did it from last year when they went from they win the Europa League to go back in the Champions League from being into 16, 17.
Time, though.
Yeah.
Ange would have gotten them a Champions League title. He always wins something in his second year. He would have gone one step further and won the Champions League this year. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all we have for this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Sorry about missing last week. If you haven't already, make sure to join our AFL Fantasy League. The head-to-head league is now full, so make sure to join the Open League, which has unlimited spots. So you can join that. Code is on the screen right now. And we also have a tipping competition that is open now. I haven't made a graphic for it, so it will be linked down below with the codes and all the information you need to join that, to join our tipping comp as well. So prizes in the next couple of weeks, I'll announce a prize that you guys will get if you win. Only one prize for the winner, because we don't give away prizes for second place, alright? We're like Jimmy Barnes with ain't no second prize, or is it Cultures, or whatever it is. That's the philosophy I live by. Anyway. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave us 5 stars on Spotify. Make sure to follow so you're notified on every single podcast that we release over there. And if you did enjoy it over on YouTube, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel, because I ask super nicely. But again, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.